All right, so I think I'm live. There we go. Yep, I am definitely live. So this is gonna be something different today. All right, I have no script, no lesson plan. I don't have any plan really. So if you saw my announcement on Instagram, which if you're not following me on Instagram, you should. I am much more active now. I have been completely swamped with work lately. In particular, working on my sketches for the play I was hired to score. I've been struggling with this particular story quite a bit, but after many different options, many different kind of themes I've played with, I've got a primary theme that I think I can work with. All right, and because I've been spending so much time on this, I haven't been able to make videos for YouTube. So unfortunately, I'm quite behind on my post schedule now. So instead, I thought I would just live stream. I would kind of talk through my decisions, and if you guys have any questions, go for it. But for now, I've got to take this theme and I've got to try and rearrange it to get different emotions, different energy levels, really test and see what this idea is capable of. So first, let's just kind of play through it. It's a little quiet. All right, so this is the theme I'm working with. All right, and got a message from Matt. Oh, no worries, Matt. Can't stay for the sketch or for the whole stream. No worries. Like I said, this one's different from what I've done before, so I have no idea how long it's gonna last. I'm basically just gonna be working until I hear from you guys and figure out any questions, kind of stuff like that. So that's the theme. It's a pretty simple theme. Essentially, only four chords involved. Uh, C major 7, A minor 7, E minor 7, and then F major. I mean, towards the end, I repeat it and I add a sus4 to kind of keep the ending from sounding too final. But this is going to be one of two primary themes for the play, or it should be. I have to make sure it can put it through its paces. I have a lot of things I need to do with this. These are all of my notes. As you can see, I've got close to 30 notes so far, and this is only one theme I've been working on in terms of exploring the emotions, seeing what different options I have. But essentially, I want to create this something that's called a thematic suite. It's a collection of different variations on the same theme to kind of see what it is capable of. And I've broken down each of the different sections to show what emotions this theme needs to be able to deliver in the play. And this first one, let's start working on it, is I need to create a sense of wonder, fantasy, and new adventure. This is from Act 1, Scene 1. It says it needs to start with a relatively quick build to hit the discovery of the stars. This has to do with the story. Try to get some goosebumps going. So that's my goal. What should we come back to? But it should come back down to create a general sense of increased building and energy, but not too much. It needs to end on an open but satisfying cadence. So basically what's happening in this scene is all the characters have kind of like met for the first time. They're participating in like this escape room type experience. And almost sort of like a Narnia type thing, the characters are going to start realizing that there's something more going on than they originally anticipated. So this theme really needs to kind of carry away the kind of sense of wonder and adventure to kind of kickstart the story. And so I have different responsibilities. I definitely need to introduce the motif, all right, which is probably this 3-note idea. Right here in the first measure. the longest would probably be those two measures. But if you'll notice, this idea repeats twice. And then over here in measure third, it gets sequenced down. A little bit of changed. And then up here in measure 9, it returns again. Then we have a stronger variation. And then it gets repeated again. So it's just kind of that rhythmic idea. This is the primary motif that I'm working with. And so I need to make sure that I introduce that at least once. I need to build a sense of energy, but I also need to make sure it doesn't conflict with the dialogue, because this is not a movie. This is not a video game. This is a play. This music needs to be performed with the actors. And so it's going to be more difficult, especially since we don't have a live band performing. This is going to be a combination of synths that I have to create, and then some recorded instruments supplied by Musiversal, which is wonderful. So essentially this is, I said I don't have a script. I don't have a plan. All I'm doing is I'm going along. I'm showing you guys my process because I felt guilty about not having a video this week. So along the way, if you have any ideas, comments, or questions, please throw them in the comment section below. I would be happy to tackle them. But for now, let's minimize this. We have this idea. We have my notes. All right, so I already took some notes on this variation. So emotion-wise, wonder, fantasy, and new adventure. Technical, start somewhat. I need to hit. All right. So when the stars, or like when this whole kind of when the scene starts, when we finally have that one moment where it hits and the music needs to start, I need to have a bit of bump of an energy there, and then trail off without losing energy. So let's see here. Let's duplicate this. I'll say this is MIW theme sketch, MIW, and then this is going to be section 1. All right, so let's kind of revisit this idea, shall we? The chord progression, I need energy, and I need it to fall in the background. So for me, that means two things. I need a repetitive and rhythmic figure. I'm wondering, C major 7, very beautiful sound, but I'm wondering if that's heavy enough. I need something that can pull a bit more energy. So maybe just C major, maybe C augmented, maybe C sus. Either way, let's start with we'll start with the slow harmonic rhythm. All right, harmonic rhythm again is chords and how they change over time. So it goes C major 7, A minor 7, then E minor 7, and then F major 7. So here's my chords. What if I started doing just kind of an essential tones kind of thing? If we can play. Let's actually start off with a statement of our motif, which was B, A, E. Let's try this. And again, sorry if this isn't the most exciting stuff for you guys. This is literally just watching me work, so if you got questions... we've got a question. Hello, the motif sounds like Dark Souls 3 Final Boss's leitmotif. Ooh, what's... I've never played Dark Souls. What's the name of the piece? Let's see. Let's see. We need a little bit of energy. You know what if instead of this, starting this way, again, I have no plan for what I'm doing, so this is essentially real time. You guys are watching me just figure stuff out. Let's see here. Mm. So let's take this. Let's mute everything but the bass line, shall we? And see if we can come up with a rhythmic figure. Let's see here. Eighth notes, maybe? Let's unmute that. No, eighth notes are too short. That might be something. What were those? Were those 16th notes? If you guys have questions for me, I'm a little self-conscious at the moment, actually. I've never done a stream like this. I usually like to have a plan. So I don't know what to talk about. If you guys have any... Here's what we're going to do. Any questions, please, comments. Yeah, what is the... Adol, what is the Dark Souls 3 Final Boss song? I've never heard that. But I hope I'm not plagiarizing. That would be a major bummer if I was. Because of course no one ever sets out to plagiarize. Let's see here. Let's try 16th notes. You know what? I'm trying to be too quick with coming up with ideas because I'm self-conscious about the fact that I am streaming. So let's just do some boring stuff first. Let's find out some... So in general, I need to increase the energy so I can do shorten the notes. Oops, sorry about that. Shorten note values. Add more rhythmic lines. Ostinati. Soul. Okay, Tom said this is really cool. I'm interested to just watch the process. Ah, thank you. All right, that makes you feel a bit better. And Adol, Soul of Cinder. If I recall correctly, there is a part of piano in the middle. I'm gonna have to check that out. I've never, like I said, I'm not much of a video game player. I used to be, but growing up, video games weren't really allowed in the house. And so then, of course, in college, I went kind of crazy playing video games all the time. And then when I started getting into music, I had to delete a bunch of space off my computer. And I am oversharing at the moment. But that's okay. I like talking. Soul of Cinder. And this is why I always have note cards or sticky notes nearby. All right, so I need to increase the energy here. I have my theme. I need to increase the energy, and I can do that by shortening the note values, adding more rhythmic lines. I can shorten the harmonic rhythm so that I have more chords per measure. I could energize the bass line. So those are some strategies I could do for that. I would say increase the instrumentation, but since this is really just a piano sketch, there's not much I can do about that just yet. You know, but the overall development is quite different. Oh, thank you. I'm glad. That is one thing. A lot of motifs can be very similar to others. I mean, that is literally just running up the first three notes of a C major scale. So, C, D, E. And then if I were to... We all recognize that from Lord of the Rings. But yeah, it all depends on how you develop your motif to see what kind of music you create. That's why I tend to think that a lot of lawsuits surrounding stolen music tend to be rather stupid, because if someone develops an idea much further, it's not the same thing, but I guess it's a case-by-case scenario. Okay, so I need to increase the energy, but I need to create a sense of wonder. Alright, so for this, the kind of things I can do, I can use longer harmonic rhythms. Where's my mouse? Longer harmonic rhythm, chord relationships. I could do repetitive ostinati. You know what? So let's try that. Let's start with a new. At all, but the overall development is quite different. Is the note of this streams available in the Google Drive? Good question. No, they are not. Unfortunately, this isn't, like I said, this is a weird stream. This is something very new for me. I don't have a plan. I don't have a lesson plan. I've been so busy with this. This is a thing I've been hired to do. That I haven't been able to spend a lot of time on YouTube and prepping videos. But when I announced that I've been hired to do this, and I asked what kind of videos you guys would like to see, people asked for videos about my process and how I take a theme and develop it. So I thought, hey, what if I just live stream as I do this without edits, and people can see how I panic half the time, and get a very realistic behind-the-scenes looks of what it's like to take a theme and try and make it fit for a story. So the reason why I can't share the notes is these are my private notes that I've taken for this story. And so these notes have information about the characters, about the play, all that kind of stuff that I don't know if I have permission to share. But in particular, the emotion profile is something very personal to me. Not the tool, I've shared the tool with you guys, but anytime I work on an emotional project like this one, I tend to get very personal with my descriptions of past emotional experiences, things I have gone through, and how that can inform the music. And so, just personally, I'd rather not share that kind of stuff with all of you lovely, lovely people. But let's see here in particular. So yes, unfortunately, long story to say, no, the notes to this are not available. This is not a lesson. This is not a... So yeah, I'm just kind of showing you guys an unfiltered view of my process for a very real project I've been hired to do. No idea how long this is going to go. It depends on how productive it is, I suppose, and how long you guys want to stay on. And, you know, but the record... Yes, this is going to be recorded, and it will be available on YouTube for you to come back to. But now is an opportunity for all of you to ask questions and cool things like that. So if you have anything, it doesn't have to be related. It could be something new or anything like that. Alright, so I need to create a sense of wonder. So let's go to my usual toolkit. This is why you might hear about different musicians having what they call a toolkit of cliches. This is something you just kind of pick up over time. Different strategies that you enjoy, different sounds you like, and you kind of revisit them time and time again. For me, a big one for creating a sense of like fantasy and wonder is this little guy right here. A minor triad separated by from a major triad by a perfect fourth, is it? 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, perfect fourth. So A minor to G major. Beautiful chord, one of my favorites. All that cool stuff. And no worries at all. Yeah, I saw you missed it. No worries. I don't expect people to come on here and stay for the whole thing or show up right when it starts. So yeah, there's no worries. Let's do one of these. Let's stretch out one chord for 4 bars. And now that we've got the chord, let's put the bass line down here. The first thing I need to do is I need to build some energy. This is a very slow tempo, 60 BPM. I might change that. I don't think I'm going to do too much, though. Let's try first just 16th notes, see how this works. So... kind of like that, the C to E. So what if we do that? So that's 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. No, let's bring this down. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm not going to be talking. Oh, wonderful. We got the bots. All right. Remove this person. There we go. I guess that's somewhat flattering for the channel. They think the stream is doing well enough that I need some spam bots. Let's see here. I might have to increase this tempo. And then we'll do down here. Let's take this and then we'll repeat it. Let's see. So then we could move. We could try moving it down, make it from an A minor to an A minor 7, which would fit because I am working with lots of extended chords in this piece. We could try that. Keep going down. I have no idea how this is gonna work. Alright, this is infuriating me. I don't like to change tempo too much, but let's try going down just a smidge. We'll add that, delete that, change it up here to, why is it 55? 70. Let's try that. Much better. And then, you know what if I introduce the F sharp here? And then go from E to D, or from D. Ah, I switched tracks. Mr. Note Block. Ayo, ban that guy was a spammer for any future watcher. Thank you very much. Yes, I did block them. I did remove them. Let's see here. Anyone got any ideas? I'd be interested in what you guys have to say. Let's try here. It seems like a very cliche idea, but I can always layer it. Let's try. Oh, wait. We'll see here. I don't like moving to the. It sounds nice, but it seems a bit too dark. You know what I'm saying? This needs to be a sense of wonder and energy, not a sense of like doom and like tension and kind of thing. So, what if I change the order? Let's drop that down a bit. I like that one a lot more. All right, so that feels dramatic in a good way, not dramatic in a dark way. So all we're gonna do, take my chord progression, my little CR here, and we're going to reverse it. Let's see, what was that? Was it? I'm getting like some early 2010s pop music or something. Maybe something by, what was their name? They did like they did that one song that was super popular when I was in high school. I'm dating myself now. It was I'm terrible at songs. Let's see here. I can't remember the name, and that's not the purpose of the thing here. So let's drop this. You know what? Let's just actually just record, shall we? Let's see here. 2, ready. Alright, let's see here. Raise that up. Let's quantize. Finally something I can teach. Let's see the theme of it, Wonder, Dark Wonder, throughout the song. Mr. Noblock, you could change the theme of it to Wonder, Dark Wonder throughout the song. Very true, very true. I like that idea. See what we can do. First, let's quantize everything. So quantizing, I can teach you guys something if you don't know this already. Essentially, you pick your grid, 16, which is the lowest note you're going to work with, and hitting quantizing, if you notice, it's going to snap each of these notes to the closest value. This won't be the cleanest. Go through, make sure nothing... Yeah, so it threw off a couple stuff. So let's go one measure at a time. Quantize that. Let's bring this guy in. Highlight these. Quantize. Nope. Let's bring these guys in. Highlight this. I am not a trained piano player. I took lessons as a child, as many do. And then in college, I paid for lessons with a grad student for a single semester. She was wonderful, but I swear I made her cry every time she saw my technique. Let's see here. This is all terribly non-quantized. So if you're better at piano player than me and sticking to the beat, you would probably find more use out of quantizing. In fact, let's delete this measure. Make sure this is all good. And then we'll just copy and paste it, right? No harm with copy and paste, at least for these initial sketching ideas. In over here. And this is why it's helpful to have different little ideas that you always work with. So that CR, this particular CR that I love, this just gave me a brand new, entirely different idea than where I was going with even just a few minutes ago. And all I had to do was just change some things around, just a smidge. Let's try quantizing these. All right, that worked a little bit better. Wonderful. Let's bring these back. Alright, let's see. As usual, guys, if you have any questions, any comments, any ideas, please throw them in the comments. This is a very new idea for me, this type of stream. So I'd love to get some feedback. What's going on here? That's right. I moved that a bit too early. It was... Let's move these over. Bring this back. Cut it. No, it was A first. So it was A that needs to be... Oh, for heaven's sake. Let's just highlight this. It's the same general shape. Move that down to C, move this down to E, and we have... If my computer handle it. Awesome. Now let's see if there's a place for that original motif. Because I imagine this piece, this little one that we're working on right now, you know what, let's just highlight the whole thing. And bring it in, mute it, so I can just see my motif, my melody, and I can take inspiration from it. So this whole theme needs to be repetitive, all right? This is going to be played in the background under a lot of dialogue. I do not have footage. I do not have a video. I do not have anything to go off of other than the script. And the script I have is a very early stages script. I believe they are... the playwright is about to share a more updated draft with me. But so all I have is the general emotional idea. And the idea that I have one point at the very beginning that I need to make sure I hit. And then the rest needs to keep a sense of adventurous, kind of fantasy-based, whimsical adventure building without competing with the dialogue. Now, all of this, it might be for piano, we'll see. But a lot of this is going to be a hybrid score, meaning that I have to create a lot of synthetic. I have to use a synthesizer to make a lot of different instruments, which will be fun. Maybe after this project, I'll do a series on making synthesizers, and you're using synthesizers, I should say. And it's going to be hybrid. It's going to be mostly based off synthesizers, sound design, that kind of cool stuff. How many times can I say synthesizers in a row? And then, after that, I'm going to also write in... At the moment, I'm thinking a double bass. In particular, I want to find a talented double bass player who's used to playing in the upper register of the bass, which has a very unique sound, not usually found in orchestral music unless you're playing a concerto featuring the bass. And then, of course, I'm thinking piano as well. We'll see what we can work with. But I don't know where I was going with that. Let's see a couple questions. I think you're onto something with the Lydian thing for Wonder. Maybe try moving from D and E over D on your D major chord. Ooh. Let's see. So that would be D. Then G. Are you saying E major? Oh, yes, I like that. All right, so after that, let's do... Thank you, Tom. Then let's return to D major. And these probably, they may or may not be the actual keys I work with. Usually, and then you're saying E major over D. So that would be... Or are you saying to alternate between in the middle? Let's see here. I like being with it for a bit. Like that. Alright, so for those of you who don't understand what that is another CR. So in the key of D major, we have an F sharp and a C sharp. So that is the D major scale. There is no G sharp. It's a G natural. So in D major, the 2 chord is an E minor. What Tom just recommended was that I take a D major, and instead of following it with an E minor, I follow it with E major, which is a borrowed chord. I have a lot of videos on modal interchange and borrowing from chords. If you want the quickest, easiest one, check out my playlist titled Quick Theory. I've got some great tips in there for using modal interchange. But the idea is, I use a much more dramatic sound, which is very common in film music. In fact, this particular one, a major 2 chord over the tonic, meaning a major 2 over the note that the scale is named after. So an E major over D works really well as a way of modulating to the 5th, which I don't know why I did G major, but as a... So if you're ever looking for an easy way to modulate, this chord right here can give you lots of color. And then whatever the 5 chord of your key is, that can be your new home center if you want. Let's listen to this. I love this idea, Tom. Thank you. I appreciate you so much right now. And I appreciate all of you. All right, I appreciate all of you who are on here. Mr. Noteblock, what program is in this? And then I usually just memorize music I make. Good question. This is Cubase. This is Cubase Professional 9.5. I believe they're on Cubase 12 or 13, something like that. I really want to upgrade. I love Cubase. I know they've got a lot of really cool updates in the newer versions, and I keep getting, one of the more common requests I get on this channel is, can I do Cubase tutorials? I would love to do Cubase tutorials, but I'm afraid my version that I have is outdated at this point. So anyone who buys Cubase, the things I share might not be helpful for you. The things that are named after the things that are named after on here, they had their names changed in the newer version. They've had their locations changed. So someday I would like to be able to afford to upgrade. But until I do, I am more than happy with this version. So let's listen to the chord progression again. There is no sustain pedal over here, so let's get that down so we can get the full feel. In fact, you know what, let's just do this. We'll record a new sustain pedal, shall we? Oops, accidentally opened up the mixer. What? I did talk about modulating. What if we did? This might be a bit too dramatic. All right, modulation brings a lot of attention to your music. And if this modulation takes place at the wrong point, it could be very detrimental to the dialogue and the play. So I'm probably not going to keep this. I need to make it more repetitive. Instead, I'm probably just start adding layers. But I want to hear what this is going to sound like. It's a bit of a less smooth transition between those two. Yeah, I'm good. It's something that I could do if I want to, but first let's get this, an 8-bar idea solidified. Because remember, something I need to do is I still need to bring in my motif, which was the... So if you remember how the original theme sounds... Oops, I need to raise that. So that's the original theme. We are now trying to adapt that basic idea for a much higher energy moment, if you guys are just joining for the first time. And you guys have shared some great ideas with me, so thank you so much. As usual, if you have comments, questions, ideas, anything, shoot them in the comments below. I am more than happy to address that kind of stuff with you guys. First, I need to find a way to introduce this basic motivic idea. If you notice, this idea appears 4 times? 4 variations. 5 variations. The first one is... Then the next one. Next. then a variation, and then. So this is kind of the motif that this melody is built around. And if you remember when I showed my notes for this play I'm working on, one of the requirements for this section was, or that it's not a requirement, it's something I want to do. Where is it? Sense of fun. Everybody needs to start relatively quickly. It should come down. But not too much. Open up. What is the primary role? What is the general energy level? Music description. Structural. I have it in here somewhere. I swear I do. Right here. What is the primary role? This section needs to clearly present the motif, but then help create some general background ambience. So I need to find a way to fit this motif in. Let's start. The motif is basically a dotted eighth note, an eighth note, another dotted eighth note, and then a dotted eighth note. The simplest strategy to do this is to just transpose it. So over a major seventh chord, which is what this first appears in, and we can probably get rid of that D down there. It's just these three notes that are the most important. That D kind of just sets us up for the next one. So it goes... Don't know why my piano cut out. So that D kind of serves more as an escape tone, is what that's called. When I need to go from E to G, but I move first by step in the opposite direction. It's like the note is trying to escape by running in the opposite direction, doesn't get very far, it gets flung right back up. So that's what that's called. It's called an escape tone. It's kind of an embellishing tone that you can work with. And so the easiest way for C major 7, this is the 7th. All right, then this is a passing tone, and it goes from the 7th to the 3rd. So you can hear why that one was so important for me if you know the theory. 7 and 3rd are the essential tones, is what they're called. They give a chord its personality. If we don't have a 3rd or 7th, we just have a power chord, a 1 and a 5. If we had a 3rd, that can make it major, it can make it minor, it can make it sus, which technically that'd be a 2nd or 4th. But the same goes for the 7th. We can have a major 7th, dominant 7th, a 6th technically, all these different things. So those are essential tones. They give the color to the chord. They identify the chord. I don't think I'm using... I could. What if we tried doing a D major 7? I kind of like that. Alright, so let's try cutting this. We'll do another escape tone, and we're going to jump up from... the chord is not changing here, though. So let's go to A, and we'll just hold it. We won't move on from here. Just a nice statement of the motif. And then I kind of like the idea. What if we bring that back? Going over the A minor. We could start with the A minor would be... Actually, let's just, again, stick to what we just did. We'll transpose a bit. So this chord, we went C major 7, A minor 7, then E minor 7. So G in E minor is the 3rd, going down to the 3rd. So let's say... Yeah, let's try going from C. Let's try lowering this velocity down. Let's see how this sounds. And I'm liking this. This is kind of... Oops. Just this one. But then I want to just... Here's what we're going to do, because I don't want to have to go through all of that. We'll just shorten that. repeat that. And then we can just go up to B, sustain it because that's the third of our B chord. I don't know what velocity I changed, but it wasn't the B. In fact, what we're going to do is I'm going to raise this muted part because this is the original theme, this is the original melody. Raise that an octave or so we can see that. I'm going to mute this, I'm going to play it. So that's the right octave right there. I'm not a piano player. Idea of moving up the arpeggio. Let's unmute that. What was the rate? So it was every half note. So let's bring this up to E. And I think this is kind of proof of concept for this particular emotion. All right, this theme can work. This is probably not going to be the final version. But essentially what I'm doing, like I said, is I'm trying to take this one theme and I'm trying to have a proof of concept to myself and then eventually the playwright and director I'm working with to say, look, this thematic idea I came up with can be used for all of these different emotional contexts and ideas. So the temptation is I really want to keep developing this. But I know the bones are good. I know that this is a good idea. I can develop this. I know I can come along and walk away from this with a good idea. So now the temptation is to keep working on this, or should I move on to a different emotional idea? Let me know what you guys think. All right, you guys are also being quite quiet. Tom and Mr. Noteblock were the last ones to comment. Does anyone have any questions, any comments? This also, anything you come up with doesn't have to be related to the work I'm doing right now. If you're just joining, as a reminder, there's no script, all right? There's no lesson plan. There's nothing here. This is literally just me showing you a behind-the-scenes look at me actually working on a piece that I was hired to write at the moment. So all of this is real time. This is my actual process. This is how I figure things out. If you have any questions about that, any ideas, stuff like that, go out. I mean, right now, Tom, at the moment, is in the heavy lead for VIP for recommending that I use the Lydian chord. That was a really cool idea, and I love it. So thank you, Tom. Anyone have any questions, comments, things like that? If not, I'm going to listen to this one more time. As we go, we'll listen to this. Then, if I have no questions or no ideas, I'm going to move on to another emotional profile. Awesome, got some questions. There we go. Mr. Noblock, you could make the next emotion come back with the ideas from the other emotions to edit past emotion. Oh, definitely. Thank you. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm gonna move on, I think. Jay Bonds, thank you. Let's see here. Let's move on. What is the next emotion? All right, so that was section 1. Section 2. These are basically just a list. Again, these are my personal notes. These are not going to be shared or uploaded. These are all the notes I have taken so far working on this project. Breaking down the characters, breaking down the different parts of the world, the story, the moral argument, all that kind of stuff. And this is just one idea, which I'm calling the trust motif or trust theme. And these sections are essentially what are different sections of what will eventually become a thematic suite. I've essentially listed how this theme is going to be used throughout the play, how it needs to reoccur, how it needs to return, and how it needs to be developed in terms of emotions, in terms of energy level, all that kind of stuff. And so right now I'm taking my initial theme and kind of running through a test for myself to make sure that this theme that I've written is capable of delivering each of these emotions. Once I've got a basic idea written for each one, it's a matter of designing the synths and the sound design that are going to be performing a lot of this, and then putting together basically a track for the soundtrack that shows the theme being used in all these different ways. It's called a thematic suite. The same idea being repeated over and over again, just different emotions, different treatments, all that kind of stuff. And sharing that with the playwright and the director to get the green light saying, yes, this is the theme we want, work with this. All right, so all that being said, next one, okay, I need to create something tense, but not cartoonishly so. Here we have the first real conflict between Jude and Emmanuel. They're feeling each other out, right? So kind of getting, like, so we see like the, kind of like one of the protagonists and one of the antagonists, and they're measuring up to each other. They're starting to realize for the first time, all right, they're really not going to mesh, all right? So it needs to have a sense of growing tension, but will eventually need to be written as a conversation between different themes. All right, so yes, that's right. This is going to be between two different thematic ideas, but at least I need to show for the first that my theme this particular theme can be tense. Repetitive and background, very dialogue heavy. So with that information in mind, let's write that stuff out first. Pull up my notepad. Variation 2. All right. Emotions, tense and uneasy. Technical. Okay, needs to use the motif. All right, that goes without being said. Needs to have a lower but threatening energy and tension to it. Oops, sorry, that's the second time I've done that in this stream. What else do I need this to do? Alright. It cannot, there is lots. I do remember this scene in particular has a ton of dialogue. Of important dialogue. Do not compete with it. Alright, so this one. Alright, so tense and uneasy. Let's duplicate this. We'll call this section 2. We'll delete this. Alright, so first let's kind of revisit the theme. Alright, I'm going to revisit this for myself so I can kind of get a sense of, just a reminder of the themes. Matt Lewis, favorite doubling. Ooh, so you mean like instruments? Okay, I've got a lot that I enjoy. I'd have to say the one that I use most often. No, I'm not going to go with that one. Favorite all time. I've only used it once, but I love the sound. Harp and marimba. Incredible sound that I love working with. I don't know why. It gives me like My Neighbor Totoro vibes for some reason. Wish I had that movie on the bookshelf behind me. So yeah, and Tom, gotta run, folks, but this has been super interesting. We'll catch up on the rest later. Thank you for Tabletop. You were smashing it. Thank you, Tom. I appreciate your help. Thanks for stopping by, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. So now, let's get back. I want to replay this theme, kind of get the idea in my head again. The original idea, not the new one. So that I can start thinking about different ways to make this one sound more threatening. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. All right, there we go. So that's the theme. I need to translate that, oddly enough, into a very tense idea. Mr. No Block, most unusual instrument double that worked. Definitely the same one. All right, harp and marimba, my favorite. I just love the sound. Although I don't want to cheat. I feel like that's cheating, so I'm going to share a different one now. Favorite instrument double. Oddly enough, trumpet and electric guitar go very well in unison. I mean, obviously there's a lot of variation behind electric guitar, but in terms of the shape of their sound and just the energy, a very loud trumpet, like a screaming trumpet, and an electric guitar have very similar sounds, very similar timbres. You'd never think of it. But for very epic music, incredible combination. Let's minimize that. So now I am left with this need to keep it in the background. So let's pull up my notes again. All right, so let's go with it. So yeah, the two things I need to do to this theme. All right, I need to increase the energy. All right, so different ways I can do that. Again, shorten note values. Add more rhythmic lines. Shorten. These are all basically the same strategies I used this time. But I think this time I'm going to try something different. Last time I did mostly the short note values and rhythmic lines. Definitely did not lengthen the harmonic rhythm. My primary theme, the whole... That's one chord per measure. Where this idea that we just did was one measure per... that was two measures per one chord. So increase the value. So I'm thinking I might do more of an energized bass line this time. And I need to create a sense of tension / danger. All right, so things I could do for this: use specific CRs, slow harmonic rhythm. Yeah, that's how you spell rhythm. No, it's not. There are two H's. And something else I can do for a slow harmonic rhythm, specific CRs, a sense of tension. Oh, obviously, dissonance. I don't know why I blanked on dissonance for a second. Mr. No Block, would it be cool for a jazz type? Oh, that would be cool for jazz type. Yes. Trumpet and electric guitar is a really fun combination to work with, I think. The most success I've ever seen it in, I've ever heard or used it in, is for epic style music. But it would be cool to see that work with jazz. Diverse I Am. When working on a film, do you compose straight to the picture or separately? I'm not a very good improviser. At least I don't believe I am. So I will very rarely watch a film and come up with music as I do that. Instead, what I like to do is, and I've shared my process. I've got 2 playlists, I think, at this point, showing my process for scoring short films. What I'll do is I'll start very much with a story-heavy approach. So there are different composers, like Hans Zimmer talks about how he likes to watch and play along. So does John Williams. There are lots of composers who like to do that. I take much more of a Howard Shore approach. Howard Shore, who wrote the music for Lord of the Rings. He's famous for taking like 6 months of studying the story, studying the books, the languages, the inspiration that Tolkien used himself to write the books, talking with Tolkien's family, reading his journals, manuscripts. 6 months, no writing music, just studying. Obviously, I don't take that long, but that's a very similar style to mine. I love to study the story first. Then I write music that I think fits that story, fits the characters, fits the world, etc. Once I have my music, that's when I'll start trying to take ideas from that and make it fit to the story. That being said, this is not a movie. I should remind people this is a play, which is a very different experience. It's not a musical either. It's just straight up a play. All right, and the playwright wants music to go with it. which is a growing trend. It's a trend I love to see, but it has its own challenges involved. So with that being said, good questions, guys. Also, real quick, you probably see it with my hat. I have merch. I have merch now, so please, if you want to support the channel, check out the merch store. I have a link in the description below. It's supposed to be attached to the YouTube channel, but it hasn't popped up yet. I've got hats, t-shirts, hoodies, water bottles, stickers, all kinds of cool stuff. So check it out if you would like to support the channel. There's also Patreon. All kinds of different ways you can show your love and support for me to help get rid of one more starving artist in the world eat. So thank you very much for everyone who's shown support so far. I appreciate all of you guys. I'm going to get off my advertising soapbox and get back to work. So I need to create a sense of tension and danger. And since the whole chord relationship... oh, yes, Naruto. I'm wearing a Naruto shirt. Last stream I wore my own merch, but this time I've got my Naruto shirt on. I'm a very big nerd. I've also got my Naruto shirt, and you can see my collection of Naruto manuals on the back shelf. Yeah. Good catch. Good catch, Diversiam. Where was I? CRs. Yes. So, where was I? I need a drink of water. CR, so chord relationships. Yes, that worked really well last time. We started with my favorite. Found out that one didn't work too well, but reversing it actually did. It helped get a more energy right off the bat with a major chord. So, when I think tension, when I think danger, there are three chord relationships that stick out to me right off the bat. First one is two minor triads separated by a minor second. That is a very ominous kind of height tension. I think that might be a bit much. What if I try voice leading it? It's still a bit much. So I don't think I'll go with that one. So a little trick with this particular CR, if you want to reduce the amount of tension, instead of doing a minor second separating two minor triads, go with a major second. It still has tension, just not as much. So if we go D minor to E minor, that could work. So if we did something like... I don't care much for that sound, though. That sounds a bit too whimsical. For this, I'm getting kind of a kind of vibe of more of a timbre focus. So the last variation we just did was very rhythmically driven. All right, we started with that chord progression. And then after the rhythmic component was there, we started adding more of a harmonic. Where was it? Then we went back. Sorry, I'm thinking, so I'm not as talkative. Diverse I am. I'll be joining the Patreon soon. Thank you. I appreciate it. I really, really do. Every person who can support the channel through buying merch, supporting me on Patreon, or even just making donations through PayPal or something. I've got a bunch of links below. You guys really do help. All right. You help keep food on my table. You help keep me moving forward and paying my bills so that I can dedicate myself to this kind of work. And so I can dedicate myself to putting out videos for you guys. So thank you, Diverse I Am. I look forward to seeing you on the Patreon page. Where was I? Oh yeah, so Variation 2 was very rhythmically motivated. I feel like Variation 3, or I guess that was Variation 1 that was rhythmically motivated. This is Variation 2. So Variation 2, I feel like I want to go in a different direction. I want to have more of a timbral focus. 'Cause I don't want it to be high energy. If I feel like if I go high energy, it's not going to mix well with the actual amount of tension. It's going to come off as a bit cartoonish. So what if I just kind of focused on just slow moving chords? No, the CR's not working. So what if I did more of a tertian harmony? No, even that sounds a little too cartoony. This one's going to be, because anytime I'm doing a timbral focus, it's going to be difficult to kind of capture with the piano. Sorry, that was a bit loud. This is Massive X. Just kind of... This is a basic patch. There's nothing crazy going on here. And I don't want to go through all the trouble of creating a patch. So here's what we are going to do. I'm going to switch from piano to strings, because I can do more with strings timbrally. Any questions? Anybody got any questions? Any ideas, suggestions, comments, anything? Throw them in the comments. I know, here we go. It's loaded. Let's see here. That's a little dissonant. What if I try an open voicing? What if it's just an open chord? How do I make this work? Alright, so again, this is a view to my real life process. Normally, at this point, I would say I have no ideas. Nothing is coming. I've got one idea. I've got the idea of that chord transition. But it's not panning out. So normally I'd go for a walk or something around now. But especially because it's so hot in this room right now. We could try that. What was that? That was an E minor to A minor. Sorry, I'm being quiet. Alright, something's working here. I like this. I should probably start recording, shouldn't I? And curses. I swapped this out for strings. Oh, that's a habit I need to get broken of. When you're sketching, when you're working on things, it's a very good idea not to delete anything. It has bitten me in the butt multiple times where I thought I had a cool idea and then I deleted it to work on something else, or I switched out tracks and now I have to take a break. So yeah, learn from my mistakes. Alright, what was it? That was, see, this is why the issue is. I had to try and remember it. It was E minor to A minor. E minor. A minor. Then C major. I'm just repeating, so I'm gonna stop. Let's put that down here. Why is that up there? Let's bring this down here. And let's grab that melody again. This one. This is the primary melody. Played much more slowly this. But that's the theme that I need to kind of transition into a sense of tension. However, I do not think I'll use the entire melody. While I don't think I'll be using the entire melody, I should still at least, or I still need to, I should say, use the basic motif of. So what if we try going? So it's an E minor. This is working. All right, let's try this. Let's try recording. Go. And of course that was up there and not down here, because why would it be? I wasn't following the track. Let's raise this an octave, actually, shall we? Get a little bit more separation. Let's delete that A. Get that G out. And I don't know why the pedal is so messed up. Let's delete the pedal and re-record it. There we go. Delete that. Sorry, I feel like I'm not talking that much, but that's just because I know I have an idea now, and it can work as a tense theme. If anyone has any questions, any comments, ideas, suggestions, let me know in the bottom. Also, I still need a topic for Tuesday. Alright, so Tuesday is usually when I do my normal live stream. Typically, I'll do like a lesson. So I'll teach it like a private lesson. We've covered tons of topics. We talked about writing for strings, brass, percussion, woodwind. Ooh, sorry, a little burped a little bit. Woodwinds. Talked about making emotional chord progressions. Talked about the 9 parameters of music. Talked about all kinds of topics. This Tuesday, I don't have a topic. Recently, we've been spending a lot of time talking about like writing melodies. But does anyone have any ideas for writing for something you'd like me to cover, something you'd like to learn? For now, I'll wait for you guys to put any comments or ideas below, hopefully. Let's redo this one with the pedal. All right, so again, I think that's proof of concept enough. Again, I'm not trying to create final arrangements here. All I'm trying to do is to kind of prove to myself that this theme I've written can fit each of the emotional situations that it needs to. So far, we have done the original kind of peaceful setting that the theme was written for. We've done a more like higher energy, whimsical fantasy beginning of an adventure theme. And now we have done much more of the tense or quiet tension type idea. Let's actually listen to each of these one after another, shall we? Get a sense for them. Oh, got another question. Have you done anything on what orchestral sections sound good together, like timbre of clarinets versus cello? Oh, I have not. I've done a couple videos on doubling. So, the idea of doubling instruments basically comes down to two basic concepts. It's the idea of doubling like and unlike instruments and doubling in unison or octaves. The general idea is that if you double instruments that don't sound like each other, so instruments from different sections, say a single reed instrument like a clarinet with a stringed instrument, different sections, that's unlike, which means combining their color is going to come up with a new timbre, a new color. Having them play the exact same note or in unison is going to focus on that. Doubling them in octaves is still going to combine the sound a little bit, but focus more on creating a larger sound. Those are the basic guiding principles I tend to go with. I guess I could go a little bit more in depth. I have one person who's approached me for private lessons, discussing specifically that. They said that they're familiar with my concept of like and unlike doubling, but they want to learn more about which specific instruments blend and which ones don't. I said, yeah, I can teach that. I don't usually like to teach it just because I think people should explore, but I can see how it would be helpful. In general, two things you can look at to see if two sounds are going to be complementary are going to be the shape of the sound. Do they have a sharp attack, a slow attack? Are they able to sustain their sound? If they have similar shapes, they're probably going to work well together. Also, what are the instruments made of? Instruments made of wood are going to tend to work well with each other. Woodwinds and violins, for example. Instruments made of brass are going to work well together. So trumpet and trombone, or trumpet and timpani work really well together. There's a lot of different trains of thought you can have. In general, so I would check my playlist on orchestration first as the starting point. In general, I would say when it comes to doubling, always start with a specific instrument in mind. What instrument is the closest to the sound that you want, or your primary instrument? Then you need to start thinking, what is this sound lacking? Why is it not the ideal sound? Why do I want to double in the first place? So, for example, one common example that I like to use is a flute and a harp. All right, the flute is my primary sound. All right, it has what I want for my sound, but it doesn't have as plucky of a sound as I like. I want something with a bit of a sharper attack. In which case, I choose the harp because the harp has a very sharp attack. I combine the two, and it creates the type of sound I want. A flute's sound with a sharper attack. So that's the general kind of way of thinking I usually recommend. Let's see here. Last session you mentioned pointillism, which is an interesting idea, but I couldn't find much of the tutorial or tip materials online. Can you cover that a bit? Yeah, that'd be fun. I gotta say, I'm not an expert on pointillism in music. There is a specific, name for the music. It's German. Which essentially, I can't remember what it is, but essentially the idea is you have a melody, you have an idea, and every single note is played by a different instrument. So the melody itself is bouncing all around the orchestra. Earlier ideas of this were found in the Romantic period of music. So Hector Berlioz uses it in his symphonic Fantastique or something like that. I can't remember the name of it. Hector Berlioz, it's his most famous symphony. Check it out. It's wonderful. It's a case for program music, which is music that tells a story, which was not always the case. That's something that we take for granted nowadays, but that wasn't always the case. Music didn't always find a role as a storytelling medium. But at one point he has a melody, he has a primary EDA fixed is what he called it, or fixed or whatever, where it was like an idea that kept coming back, and he bounced it around each note to a different instrument. Beautiful sound. Then in the 20th century, around the 1900s, some composers started taking that really far and said, all right, well, what if we just make everything a little bit more pointillism? Not only do we bounce around different instruments, but we bounce around different chords, different scales, so that it doesn't really have a sense of logic or tonality behind it. So that was very much more experimental academic music, which we owe a tremendous debt to. A lot of film music, for example, set theory is very common in film music. That came from the avant-garde, modernist movement of the 1900s. Even though that music might not always be the easiest to listen to, it has an impact on what we hear in the music we do like. Sorry, my headphones fall off. Let's see, can you go over that back? Aaron, that's what I need. Thanks. Cool, awesome, glad to help. Klangfarben Melody. Yes, that is the one. Klangfarben Melody. I'm not using a German accent for that, unfortunately. But, yes, a Klangfarben Melody was the idea of bouncing it around. That was, I believe, the inspiration for more pointillism in the 20th century. That, and of course, the pointillism being used in art and painting as well. Mattia, what do you think about balancing composer skills with producer skills? It seems to me that there is so much to learn that I could easily get demotivated. There are two lines of thoughts here. All right, and they basically come down to how much money do you have and how much money do your producers have. On smaller budget films, it would be in your best interest to be able to produce your own music, to mix it, master it, create your own synths. The kind of indie composer has to be a jack of all trades. Hans Zimmer and John Williams can come up with a really cool idea in Cubase and say, here are the sounds, here's the melody, I came up with this, I love the idea, take this and make it fit to this scene. Go, run off with you. That's great, because in movies where they need like 2 hours of music and only like 6 weeks to get it done, you need a massive team of orchestrators and mixing engineers to take care of that. That is a requirement in big budget films. Unless the composer has a full year to work on it, like Tom Holkenberg did with Mad Max, he was able to do most of the own work for that project. But if you have a big movie with a big budget and a very short amount of time to work on it, you need a lot of teams of people who you can delegate that to. You can say, here's my melody, here's my bass, here's a description of the sound I want. Go make that for me in a synthesizer. And yeah, you can have your assistants do that. I don't have that kind of money. Another option would be to use Fiverr or something like that, a system where you find a mixing engineer that you do really like and they're affordable. And you can work with them. Find someone you like, find someone whose work you appreciate, and work with them. If you don't have that kind of money, then unfortunately you are going to have to learn this stuff. It can be very overwhelming. So my advice to you, if you are like me and have to learn all that stuff yourself, don't get discouraged. Don't try to spread yourself out too thin. Pick one and focus on it at a time. So for me, when I started learning and teaching myself how to do this before I went to school and everything, I started on melody. I thought, how can I write melodies? I spent a bunch of time focusing on melody writing. Then after that, how can I do harmony? I spent a lot of time on focusing just harmony, combining it with my understanding of melody, then orchestration. Then in the past half year or so, I have really doubled down on learning how to do strong MIDI. In the last 6 months, I've focused a lot of my efforts on MIDI mockups. So you can go, I think I have a playlist of some of my original music I've shared. My older stuff does not sound very realistic, alright? The most recent piece I've uploaded sounds significantly better. The production value is significantly better than the earlier pieces. And that's because I focused a lot on learning more about MIDI mockups. In fact, if you are interested in benefiting from all my studying, I have an ebook on my website that I am selling for $20. In 2 weeks, the price goes up to $25. So basically until the end of December. So head over there. I have the first book for free on my blogs. Read that to learn how reverb panning and mic positions can be used to create a digital space for your mock-up, And then the other chapters cover specific strategies to how to make your strings more realistic, how to make your brass instruments more winds, all that kind of stuff. And it does follow my traditional approach of teach the theory a little bit, but really focus on pragmatic and effective strategies that you can immediately start applying. So yeah, that's my focus. When the new year starts, I'm going to once again shift focuses. I'm going to start focusing, actually, of all things, working with lyrics, because my original love, what got me into film composing, was musical theater, of all things. You wouldn't expect that, right? Or maybe you would. I don't know. I love musical theater, and so I wanted to originally be a composer and songwriter for theater. Not a good songwriter, but I fell in love with instrumental music, and so this new year I want to get back to my roots, and I want to learn more about not only writing lyrics, but writing for lyrics and writing just songs in general. So I would suggest pick one skill you want to learn, focus on that for a month or two. Get as good at it as you can possibly get. Then move on. Maybe after composing you want to focus on, after harmony you want to learn more about mixing. Focus on mixing, learn as much as you can. I recommend looking up Joel Dollier on YouTube. Fantastic YouTuber. I have a review about a class of his that I took. I learned a ton from him. His YouTube channel is amazing. He's great for learning about mixing, all that kind of stuff. And I realize, it occurs to me now, I'm probably ranting for like 5 minutes on a simple question. But yeah, one at a time. All right, that's technically an idea. I have a very colorful and eclectic background, but right after school, I worked as a strength coach for a number of years. And in strength training, there is a concept called periodization, where you shift your focuses over time to gradually get to your goal. So I would say write out a description of what you want to be. What is your end goal? What skill sets do you want to have mastery over? Once you have your final image picked up, which is basically in strength training, you've got your goal numbers, what weights you want to be able to lift. Spend some time, figure out what is necessary to reach that point. Do you need to be good at mixing? Do you need to be good at synth and sound design? Do you need to be good at orchestration, melody writing, harmony writing? Break it up into different skill sets that you need to master, different topics you need to study and master. Once you have that, build out a plan. Maybe it'll be like a year-long plan, a month-long plan. Could be a decade if you really want to think out long-term. But really focus on finding as much as you can on those skill sets. Personally, for this channel, I'd say I am fantastic at teaching in terms of material that's already been shared. I am a great resource for mastering harmony, at least getting from beginner to intermediate level. Watch my playlist on harmony for composers and my series on quick theory. That will teach you so much about harmony to get you started. I can get you started on basics of writing melodies and themes. I have a playlist for that as well. And then another strength of mine that I can really share is orchestration. Those are the 3 things I tend to focus most on in this channel. I've thought of branching off into other topics, but for now, that's just kind of what I discuss. But yeah, if you're looking for other really cool, music theory, 8-bit music theory, I'm sure everyone on this channel has heard of 8-bit music theory. Fantastic channel for learning more about music theory and different concepts. Of course, another one that probably you've all heard of is Ryan Leach. His channel is incredible. I've learned some stuff from him. It's wonderful. Highly recommend. Cannot recommend him enough. Those would be some great channels to move on from also from this one. But let's quickly, I feel like that was so, long story short, that's what I would recommend. From here, let's listen to these themes again. We're going to listen to the initial theme, then we're going to see how that same thematic idea was turned into a sense of wonder, and then a sense of tension. And these are just basic ideas. These are not final product. These are just sketches, proof of concepts. I'm going to listen to this because I need to listen to it and get back to work. But if anyone has any questions while they go, shoot them in the comments below. I am more than happy to distract myself and to procrastinate by answering your questions. But let's go. In fact, what we're going to do... the primary theme. This is the idea that I wrote with the core of a specific character in mind. And now I need to basically prove to myself that I can use this theme to portray all of the other emotions I need to do. Alright, then we're going to skip ahead to the whimsy and fantasy variation. So that's the basic one for the whimsy and fantasy. Let's listen to the tension one. So what I'm noticing is my strongest tools, it seems so far, for changing the moods have been harmony and texture. I'll probably need to address the motif itself at some point. Instead of just kind of copying and pasting the idea, I need to kind of let it grow and find new ways of forms, finding different ways to develop the motivic idea. But my initial idea was just chords and a melody. The next idea was bass line and octaves, melody, and an ostinato. And then for the tension, I had sustained chords, pulsing bass line, and again, the melody. So I've got the primary melody, variation number 1, variation number 2. Let's see what other variations I'm supposed to be making for this. Now I remember 8-Bit Theory was where I watched the video analyzing Dark Souls motif. Ooh, awesome, yes. I'll have to check it out. I do love 8-Bit Music Theory. He was one of the first channels I discovered. Then I kind of fell off for a bit, and I just recently rediscovered him, as well as rediscovered my love for video games. Both of my roommates right now are huge Mario Kart fans, and I got one of them. He's one of my oldest friends. He actually helped come up with the Emotion Tool with me. He's a huge Nintendo fan, so he's got like all kinds of old games. I'm currently playing Pokemon XD for the first time. I am loving it. And I don't know why I'm sharing all of this, but going down kind of the rabbit hole of hearing how incredible the music for Nintendo's video games are, I have returned and have just been binging a ton of 8-Bit Music Theory. Let's see here. Duplicate. Let's go with variation 3. And let's find out what variation 3 needs to be. Shall we? We shall look at the notes together. Let's see. So this was section 2, section 3. This music needs to create a sense of safety and calm after a very tense and frightening sequence. Needs to help transition the audience back down to a more peaceful emotional state. Needs to be very short and remain in the background, possibly only time for one quick statement of the motif, and then we're back to the atmospheric pads or something. This is easy enough because the original feeling of the theme was not that. Was you know what? Maybe that's just what it'll be. Alright, variation 4. This one's easy enough. I need a short statement. Alright, and then essentially just go into the chord progression. So what was that? That was... Let's zoom in. And I butchered my own motif. But it didn't sound bad, so... Let's do that, shall we? see. So it would be... No, that B sounds too tense with the A minor. What if I tried going to E minor? Yep, that's what we'll do. Let's delete this. We shall mute this. Get a count in. 1, 2, ready, go. There we go. And that's variation 3. Easy enough. So then, that was nice. It just occurs to me, I'm no longer looking at your guys' comments. I was in the wrong tab. Oh yeah, awesome. Nothing new. It is getting unbearably warm in this room right now. I am in a small room with foam paneling all in front of me and a very hyperactive vent. So I'm probably not going to be on much longer, but this is easily the longest stream I've ever done on this channel. So I think I'm going to do one more variation. If anyone has any questions, speak now or forever hold your peace. Because I will probably be signing off soon. Again, I need an idea for next week's stream on Tuesday. Remember, those are my basically public lessons. All right, you guys pick a topic. I come prepared with a lesson plan, notes, and I teach that topic. So far, we've talked about melody writing, fixing melodies. We've talked about harmony writing strategies. We've talked about orchestration, all kinds of good stuff. Give me some ideas. Yep. While we're at it, don't forget to check out my merch if you want to show support for the channel. Today is the last day that you can place an order and have it arrive in time for Christmas. So we've got everything from hoodies to stickers and buttons. Check it out. It's a really cool shop. So yeah, you can show support that way. There are lots of links below where you can show support. Yes. Off the soapbox once more. Let's see. Section 4. This music should be peaceful but emotionally ambiguous. Think Sixth Station by Joe Hisaishi. If you haven't listened to that, Sixth Station by Joe Hisaishi, one of my all-time favorite pieces. In fact, according to my Spotify review, I have listened to over 120,000 minutes of music last year. Mostly because I listen to music while I sleep. But the most repeated song music by far was this one piece of music from Spirit Away by Joe Hisaishi. In fact, I don't want to brag or anything, but I was in the top 0.01% of Joe Hisaishi's listeners. I have a problem, I know, but I love his music so very, very much. It's my dream to go see him in concert someday. So yes, I would love to. He was in New York recently, but I couldn't afford the plane tickets or the tickets to the show, unfortunately. So I would love to see his music live. I credit him with why I'm a composer. But that's enough of me fanboying. Alright, so this music needs to invite the listener to feel emotional, but not dictate what emotion needs to be. It should hint at feelings of peace and hope. It needs to have a false start or pause near the beginning. Joshua starts reading, but stops for a moment to collect himself. As critical as music remains in the background. Once again, it needs to be easily loopable and editable to fit the length of the scene. Alright, so I remember this scene. The scene is a very emotional scene. It's got a very long monologue, where the character is reading a letter that they haven't had the courage to read before. So I want to make sure that my music doesn't dictate the emotion the audience should be listening. I want it to place them in a spot where they can be emotional, where they are invited to experience emotion, but I want to leave this up to the actor and their interpretation of how to portray this scene. So, for me, the key to ambiguous emotions, extended chords, which again goes back to the idea of Joe Hisaishi's music. Huge influence of mine. See, Adol. How about adaptive music? Nintendo certainly uses it a lot. That is something I do need to learn more about. That's video game music. That's specific software and strategies for writing adaptive music. I would love to learn more. Unfortunately, I had to drop out of school before I could take the classes specifically on video game music. Tuition is very, very expensive in the States. So I was not able to finish my music degree, unfortunately. I would love to go back someday and finish it online. But unfortunately, it's not in the cards as of now. Let's see. But yeah, that would definitely be something I'd be up for discussing in the future. This one, actually, I have something for this. One of the original sketches. Random sketches. All right, where is it? This one, I believe, could work. This is what actually ended up giving me the chord progression for this. So I think there's something here. And because I'm feeling a little lazy, a little tired, I might just say this is good enough after working on it for a bit. Let's see here. Let's change back down to 60. I don't know why my tempo map is so wonky. That's something to address later, though. Let's see, what can I come up with here? So this was, essentially, it's a simple idea. Actually, I have something for this up here. Alright, so this is my chord palette I've been working with for most of this. So the idea behind this chord progression is I start with a C major 7. And it's not playing because I highlighted the tempo map. Alright, so I start out with a C major 7. And then I jump up to the extensions, D and A. F is blacked out because that is a harmonic avoidance note. If you don't understand the difference between harmonic avoidance notes and tensions, check out my videos in the Quick Theory playlist and the Harmony for Composers playlist. But I had this idea to create a sense of rest rather than following my typical strong, weak pattern. I create a pattern by only using the tonic chords. The tonic chords are famous and known for having a sense of resolution. They don't carry a lot of momentum. But of course I would need a cadence of some sort, which is where the 4 chord comes in. The 4 chord can be used as a cadence. It's called a plagal cadence. In fact, the F chord is also part of the romantic cadence, which is an F major, F minor, and then the 1 chord. A very romantic chord. You're probably familiar with it from lots of film music. But I decided to use that chord for my cadence, so it creates a much softer, low energy feel. So it goes C major, A minor, E minor, then F major. Then to create a little bit more ambiguity, I've gone C major 7. I've gone with the 7ths of all of these. A minor 7, E minor 7, and F major 7. I don't like the sound of the E minor 7 though. Maybe I'll go with an E6. It has a little bit of crunch that I like. Well, that could technically just be another major 7, so no, that's too much tension. I'll ignore it for now. But the idea behind this kind of peaceful ambient track is going to be a lot more about sound design than just kind of harmony and such. But I'm going to go major 7. I'm going to do the major 7, then the extensions. Then A minor. Then E minor 7. Then it only has the 1, so I'm going to just repeat the E power chord up. And then F major. And then G and B. Or something like that. And that's essentially what I have going on here. The tempo has changed a little bit, and I'm going to reduce this so I can actually see everything at once. Keep going until they disappear, then backtrack a little bit. There we go. Backtrack. There we go. So I'm going to go raise this up. one thing I'm not liking about this is it's a bit too happy. Alright? Even though it's a little ambiguous, it's still a bit too on the happier side. So what if I try making things a little bit more minor? No, it's still too dark. Either way, this is fine. I'll figure something out. I'll probably use hybrid chords. Hybrid chords get rid of the E, or the third, so instead of, we have then an E. No, that's what goes. Then it would be an A minor. Then B. So that's what I'm going to actually do. I'm going to go through, mute all of the thirds. What is going on here? Oh, I'm entering the marker track, not the... I'm going to go through and mute all of my thirds to make this just sound a little more ambiguous, and that should do it. Oh, and I'll probably need something like a moving bass line. In fact, let's try that. First one is C major. And I mess up the two middle chords because these should be reversed. So let's do that one more time. And I'll probably call it a day. And again, I am not a piano player. I should use the metronome to make sure I hit everything right. 2, 3, 4. There we go. I think that sounds ambiguous and nostalgic enough. And once again, I realize I have hidden your comments if you have any. No, good. Looks like we haven't missed anything. I am going to listen to each of these one last time. At the end, I will answer any questions you guys have. But then I'm going to call it. We are coming up on 2 hours that this stream has lasted. Any questions, any comments at all, I'll be happy to address them. But until then, let's listen to this quickly. We're going to have the original theme. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you would. It means a lot and helps tremendously. So that's the original theme. Who knows? Maybe I'll bring that melody in a little bit, or at least hints of it, into the ambiguous part. This is the whimsical kind of fantasy adventure feel. these again are just sketches to prove to myself that I can accomplish these emotions using. Let's stop that. It's not stopping the sustain mark, but using this basic motivic idea. And that's right. I muted this one. So then we have the tension variation. And then we have the resolution to end a separate but tense scene that help bring everybody back down. And the last one is kind of more of an ambiguous ambient. So yeah, I guess all that works. I'm actually quite pleased with this. All right, I got a lot more mileage so far out of this theme than I did. It took me. This project has been very troublesome for me. It took me. I think I put like 8 hours into writing different themes and variations before I finally came up with this initial sketch. And even then, not that one. Even then, I did not like this sketch at first. I just didn't care much for it. I did not think it was going to work. But the more I kind of moved on from it, the more I started to realize, all right, maybe this has got something to it. So I am very pleased seeing how versatile the motif can actually be. Yes, Adol, it seems that you enjoy Japanese video game and anime music a lot. Do you listen to the Toho series? If you are interested, can you please do some analysis of the Ghibli series? I do. I do love, in particular, I should say, because I don't take a lot of influences from anime in general. I take a lot of influence from Studio Ghibli. In particular, Joe Hisaishi. Like I said, I really credit Joe Hisaishi with getting me into music in the first place. A lot of you know the story of how I got into music, how I was originally working as studying to be a therapist, and just I kind of had like a midlife crisis in grad school where I realized I was completely miserable, didn't enjoy what I was doing, and I just knew I wanted to do something with music. Music was my real passion, but I'd never allowed myself to pursue it. I'd taken years away. In my family, it's a tradition. Almost everyone's passionate about music, but the moment you go to college, you put it behind you. My dad was a fantastic role model for teaching me that I can still have music in my life. And so in college, in particular, I kind of went with the family tradition. It wasn't like, well, time to abandon music, but more about the ideas like I had to find a real line of work in my head. And when I realized how completely miserable I was and how my life just was not, I didn't find a lot of worth in my own life at that point. That is when specifically I was cleaning the kitchen of the place I was living in, and Joe Hisaishi's music came on Pandora randomly. And specifically, it was his piece, "The Girl from the Sky," I believe it's called, from Laputa Castle in the Sky. And that piece of music just blew me away. And it was in that moment where I realized, like, okay, I know what I want to do now. I want to do that. And so it was after that that I kind of started focusing all of my energy in learning how to write music. And very fortunately, I'm in a position now where this is what I can do full time. It's not very monetarily rewarding at the moment, but it's enough to survive. And hopefully it will continue to grow where I can support myself a bit more freely and start upgrading some of my gear. But, so Joe Hisaishi, it's all of that oversharing story that none of you needed to know. Is just why Joe Hisaishi in particular has had such a massive impact on me and my sound. I would love to check out the Toho series. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. I'll look into it. I'd love to. The chances of me doing another analysis series, unfortunately, are pretty low. It took over 200 hours to put together that Studio Ghibli series, and it has not been very popular. I haven't gotten too many views on it. Not to say that views are the only reason why I did it, but the reason why I did that Ghibli series was for me. I wanted to know what made that music tick. What gave it that kind of personality and feel. And so, that's why I did the series. But I wouldn't be against doing another analysis series, but it would have to be something that really spoke to me, something I wanted to learn more about, and potentially, hopefully, something other people would be interested in too. But I'll definitely check out the music. I always love listening to new music. That being said, I think that's where we're going to leave it off. All right? So thank you to everyone who stopped by the stream. If any of you stayed for the entire thing, wow, thank you. I really appreciate it. I could barely stay around for the whole thing. And I was, stupid little joke. But I really enjoyed this. All right? This was different. If you guys are interested in more of these, I have a lot of work to do on this project still. I have a rapidly approaching deadline and a tremendous amount of music I need to write, arrange, and notate. And then, not to mention that, but a whole bunch of synths and sound designs and elements I have to invent and create. So let me know if you'd be interested in more of these. I do not think, unfortunately, that I will have time to put together any more edited videos for YouTube. At least not until my end of this project is done. So pretty much this is what you're going to be getting. It's a bunch of streams. So if this is something you enjoyed, let me know. If there are other things you would love to see, again, let me know. I still will be doing the lessons, the live composing lessons on Tuesday. So again, if someone has a topic they'd like to see, let me know. Let's see. Oh, so it's like I was actually suggesting streaming topic. For the adaptive music or the Toho series. That'd be fun. I could try it and do just like a spur of the moment analysis. You know what? That actually sounds like a really fun challenge. Adol, if you have 3 pieces specifically, 3 pieces of Toho music that you think are emblematic, that these are the 3 pieces that create this sound for you. Preferably they should be similar in emotion and quality that you're sharing. Send 3 of them to me, and I will try to analyze that live. That sounds like a lot of fun. Unfortunately, if you're talking more about the adaptive music, that's nothing I can talk about just yet. I am interested in studying video game music in the future, though, so maybe I won't say no right away, but that would be potential. So yeah, if that was what you were talking about, send me an email or Instagram message, or even just a comment in this video, because that does sound like a really fun challenge. But for now, my friends, if you'd like to show support, buy some merch. Check out the links below for different ways you can support. Check out my new ebook on MIDI mockups, how to make your sound libraries sound much more realistic. It's on sale until the end of December. But until next time, my friends, keep studying, keep working hard, and keep writing new music. I will see you all in the next stream. All right? Have a great day. Bye-bye.